The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
It is the West Tigers podcast, and it's episode number 450. And I was thinking about 450. I was going to say it's not the price of a litre of fuel, but give it another week and it might be the price of a litre of fuel. But episode number 450, it's a big milestone. And Nick and Josh are here on a Thursday night. A bit of a crazy day yesterday. We didn't get around to recording, but we're here now, and the clock is ticking less than 24 hours to the Warriors game. Nick, you haven't been here for 450 episodes, but you've been here for quite a few. And I guess just, what I'd like to say as somebody who's obviously been here since day one is, there's been a lot of people that have contributed to what we've done and given up their time, and it is very much appreciated. And Nick, I appreciate your contributions as well. Unfortunately, though, I don't want to be too dire, but it's been a pretty tough slog, hasn't it, as a West Tigers fan over the last 8 years?
There hasn't been a great deal of happy days to talk about, but as we all know, that's the life of a West Tigers supporter, as you just alluded to. But who knows, maybe better days around the corner, and maybe as we approach 500 and 600, maybe we'll be talking about a premiership, maybe.
I think I made a bold, what's the word I'm looking for? Bold prediction that we were going to play finals football before episode 500. Josh, do you think I'm on track there, or am I in a bit of trouble?
What are we doing? 50 episodes,
50,
two
yeah.
a week, or yeah, well, you'll be fine. This year we'll definitely get there, Joel. So it'll be celebration. I can't count that well, but it felt like we were
I think
close.
we might have to do a few weeks where there's 3 or 4 podcasts to get there if we're going to get there this year. But the other thing to take into account is it's a lot of episodes when you consider that's a lot of episodes without any extra games, without any semi-final football. It's only just regular season. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Imagine if the 500th is the grand final winning episode, Joel. We come back off the grand final for the 500th episode.
Going to come
perfect.
perfectly together. Yeah. Well, it's the grand final preview, isn't it? Because I think you said we were going to play the Warriors. Was that you,
That is
Josh?
true. Yeah. Warriors.
We're playing the Warriors in the grand final.
Yeah.
Could broadcast live from the stadium.
Yeah.
Some podcast.
That's it. I wonder how grey I'll be by the 1,000th episode.
You won't be grey, you'll be white.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's products for that these days, Joel. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
The Warriors over there, they've beaten us 9 times. I was just having a bit of a think about it before we came on air. If ever there was a game where sort of like everything's against you, it's against the West Tigers in this game. It's on their turf. They've beaten us 9 straight times. They're coming first. We've lost our best player. But like I said on Sunday night, I kind of feel, Nick, that there's going to be an ambush. I think the West Tigers are going to show up ready to play.
I like the way you think. I hope you're right. I'm not confident of that, but I do think the boys will come out and have a crack. So there's nothing to say that we can't win. It's just obviously going to be a lot more difficult losing the players that we've lost, especially Romy in such a key, pivotal position in terms of the way he drives the team around the paddock and the way he barks orders, all that sort of stuff. But look, at the same time, we'll get into it a bit, but I'm looking forward to watching Jock play. I haven't seen him play for a little bit. It'd be good to see him back in Tigers colours on the NRL field or in the NRL side. And, he's a different type of player to Jerome. He's obviously not a Jerome Luai, but he's a good organisational half and probably a bit different to the way Dewey plays too. So, yeah, there's a challenge there for all of them, especially Jock.
When I think of Jock, I think of like traditional half. He's sort of old-fashioned. That's sort of what my memory is of him. Good kicking game, kick to the corners, organising, that kind of stuff. Not overly flashy and with a lot of flair, but very dependable. I thought we might circle back around to the halves in a moment. Just talking about the losing to them 9 times in a row. Josh, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a bad stat, but we nearly beat them at Campbelltown last year. I think, was it Terrell May, was that the game where Terrell May didn't put the ball down or dropped the ball? There was some controversial thing where the game could have gone the other way last year. but also any records to do with the West Tigers that include that 3 year wooden spoon run's a bit tainted too, I think.
Well, that's it. I mean, we had a bad period there. It's not like we weren't losing to every team. Yeah, it was round four last year. Warriors beat round four we played them last year.
Yeah.
That was at Campbelltown and they won 26-24.
Mm.
They scored a try in the 69th minute and then a penalty in the 72nd minute. So it was that they kind of had a penalty straight after to kind of get home. So we ran them close. I think they've always, even though the losses the last couple of years, we've it's been close, good, competitive footy. So I think, we're well in with a chance. And as Benji has said a few times, last year is last year, and that kind of goes for the previous years. They're gone. I mean, our team this year, I think most of them weren't here probably 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's a very different side. So hopefully the history doesn't play on that.
My recollection of that game at Campbelltown was it was a very wet evening. It seems to remember
Mm,
that it was wet weather football. It was not a great game from memory. But the
yeah.
Warriors are a different team, aren't they, Nick? I don't know if you've managed to check them out this year, but they for the Warriors for so many years were hot and cold and up and down, and they've sort of Andrew Webster, to his credit, he's got them playing consistent football. Hopefully, they're inconsistent tomorrow night, but they seem to have gone up another level this year.
Yeah, and they're off to a flyer. Were they 3 from 3, I think?
Yeah, top
Top
of
of
the
the
table.
ladder. So, going over to New Zealand full of confidence and full of hope. And I think it's a sellout crowd already. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of Warriors fans, as there always are when we played them over there. Yeah, they're obviously a popular team to watch, and so
Yeah.
are we. And we have been known to take some home games over there from time to time. Thank you, Mr. Pascoe. But yeah, look, it's going to be a very hard travel and a very hard game to try to win away from home. Like I said, it could happen. Uh, Not overly confident, but you never know. But yeah, they're a good team, Joel. Early days, but they're a good team. So
Yeah.
they'll be pumped to try and get away that four nil start to the year.
Across the field, Josh, they're pretty strong and pretty powerful up front. As I said on Sunday night, Ford and James Fisher Harris, obviously two really good props. They've got a strong bench, strong centers. In saying that though, I thought our forwards last week were really good. So I'm not sitting here thinking that they're just going to run over the top of our forwards. And I think if Bunty gets a run off the bench and we see a repeat of what Royce brought last week, I think from that, for want of a better term, physicality perspective, I'm not overly concerned, which then does somewhat even things out. It's more the backs that have me a little bit fearful.
Yeah, I think I agree, Joel. I think our forwards were good last week, but this will be a real test, as you said. The Warriors probably, I think, are close to the best pack in the game at the moment, full strength. If you've got Mitch Barnett coming off the bench,
Mm.
that's a fair sign that you've got a good pack. So, but I think the boys will be up for it. Obviously, Benji will be up for it. He's a Kiwi, always up for games against the Warriors, and these boys do love their coach. The back line is, as you said, where we have probably some concerns, and that's they've got really experienced quality wingers. They've got big, strong centers. Probably not like Adam Pompey's big and strong. He's not brilliant, but he's big and strong, and so is Lauatiti. I think that's going to be a challenge for us, but our backs were making good meters. Yeah, I think, look, what I'm looking for out of this game is a really competitive game. We've lost Luai. I want them to show that even without the captain, they
Mm.
can really put in that same spirit and that same effort, keep it close, and then coming into the last 20 minutes, if we're in the game, then who knows? So,
I wonder if there's a bit of an unknown quantity here in Jareem Buller, Nick. There's obviously a lot of talk about contract. He started the season fairly lukewarm. Is there that potential, or do you feel like maybe Buller might rise to the occasion here? Like he's got to show a bit more. He's got to show it consistently. And I'm not picking on him, and I'm not saying anything other than we need more from him than what we've had so far.
Well, he's only played 2 games, so I'm trying this year. So I'm trying to hold back on picking on him. However, I did mention during the week in our chat that I felt like it was time for him to stand up a bit and
Mm.
show a little bit more of the promise that he showed last season. I know that the longer it takes for him to make a decision on his future, the more talk there's going to be, and
Yeah.
it's not going to help him out. I saw yesterday, I think it was yesterday or this morning, there was something on one of the media outlets about Connor Tracy potentially being an option to be let go, But
Mm.
there was some comment about that is dependent on what happens with Dream Buller. So I don't know if there's a swap deal perhaps being talked about here, but I know we were talking about Bronson Sherry last week, and that was put down pretty quickly by Benji. So it could be media talking things up. Um, but just back on Jareem, look, I still think he's a quality player. There's a lot of footballer in him. We haven't seen the best of it yet. It's only been 2 games, but he does have a big opportunity to stand up here. But, again, with Romy out, who's a key part of our attacking
Yeah.
core, that sort of might hamper Dream a little bit. But I would like to see him get a bit more involved. Looping around the back of our attacking plays, putting some doubt into defenders' minds. I don't think we saw that enough, especially last week.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my point to you, Josh. Is how does Buller, how does Luai not being there change his game? What do we need from him? Like getting into first receiver sometimes, or being around that dummy half.
It's interesting, and I think that's actually really like I think actually it might help Buller's game this week. Jerome's out. There's one less creative option. I mean, Madden will do his job as we said, but
Mm.
he's not really a big creator. Maybe that creates some space for your fullback to come through. Buller will also have more responsibility. And Adam's not playing at 100% even if he is playing. Jock's coming in for his first game and isn't a dominant all the time with the ball half. That really creates a need for someone to take that on. And hopefully that inspires Buller to kind of take that lead role and probably jump in there at first or second receiver a little more. Madden also has a really nice passing game. Like doesn't create holes, but he puts the ball out in front of people. So maybe that's a good opportunity for Buller and as well as Taruva and the other outside backs to really come kind of run off those passes. He's a bit more consistent with what he does, Madden. So perhaps that's a real chance for Buller to jump in there and kind of take some of that responsibility for the
Mm.
team.
Mm. There's also a bit of a potential of Macassini having a game out of the box as well. Like
Mm,
he's been, finding his feet and obviously really targeted. You can tell that he's
Yeah.
not getting much space, but you never know. He might have a memorable game. I think the thing when I think back about the South game, Nick, is that I thought we lacked a little bit of creativity with our six tackle options. It seemed to be almost, back to Jason Taylor ball of five tackles and a bomb. Maybe that's something that Madden will bring as well. We can mix it up a little bit, or more strategically kick for field position rather than just popping up that bomb.
I think that's what Jock is good at. Like you said earlier at the beginning of the pod, that Jock's more of your traditional style halfback. He has a very good kicking game and a good positional kicking game. I did watch that during the trial out at Leichhardt, I think, when we beat the Panthers. I'll be curious to see how that translates into a first grade game tomorrow, being Friday night. Um, I can't remember the point I was getting to. No, it's gone. It's gone.
That's all right.
It'll come back.
Madden.
Jock Madden. Yeah, no, look, yeah, look,
He's
I am.
consistent. He's always
He's
been consistent.
He is consistent. Again, he hasn't played with us for a while, and I know he had injury issues last year, but he's back. So very keen to see how he goes. It's going to be a very different dynamic tomorrow. Huge challenge. The thing that got us last week, and thinking about it now, the Rabbitohs, I think they were prepared for players like Macassini, right? He's young and
Mm.
inexperienced. We had an inexperienced edge last week. I thought the Rabbitohs were up in our face very quickly
Yeah,
last week, and they put a lot of pressure on their playmakers. And this is the thought I was getting to it that I forgot a minute ago.
I knew
Getting
you'd find
older,
it.
probably a bit
Yep.
of dementia kicking in.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. Like, I think the Warriors will most likely do the same. Every club does video during the week and
Mm.
watches who the team played the previous week and what they did to get on top of that opposition. South, I think, got in our faces and shut us down very quickly,
Mm.
made us look a bit rushed and maybe a little bit unorganised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors try to do that again tomorrow. It's up to us to do the little things better. Obviously the forwards are going to run hard and try to dominate like they have been doing. Our forwards are pretty big and impressive too, so I know that we can match the
Mm.
Warriors. But it's the little things like, not getting rolled on your back when you get tackled, getting up and playing the ball quickly and giving Appy a chance or Uppy a chance to get, our backs onto the front foot and put a little bit of pressure back on the Warriors. So we just can't let them shut us down like I think South did last week.
Mm. Yeah, they looked very coached, didn't they, Josh, last week? South came with a game plan.
Yeah, that they did, and I think the Warriors will probably come with a similar game plan. But I think it's up to our forwards to kind of win the forward battle, and that saved the momentum. Also, I imagine it'll be a bit slippery over there in New Zealand, and that kind of slows down the defense getting up. It also depends on the ref. Some refs give you kind of more leeway with that 10 meters than others do.
Mm.
I'm really excited for the forwards. One of my good mates is always after a prop forward try. He's always try time big unit, and I'm thinking our forwards will be driving that. So a big shout out to Uncle Bernie for that, but also Fanua Pole. Therefore, I think will have a big game. I thought he's been getting better and better the last couple of weeks, charging through the middle. I thought the headgear helped him, so I'm looking for a big game for Fanua Pole down the middle. So.
Yeah, he's been pretty good, that's for sure. Tristan Hope at 14. Do we see Arpy playing in the halves? Do we see that coming up? Is that cover, or is Tristan just going to come on and give him a rest? Or how do you see that playing out, Josh? What are your thoughts there?
I think he'll just come on and give him a rest, unless there's any injuries. I mean, I think it's also, there is cover for Adam there if something does happen towards the end.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine Appy will play the first 60, so they and then they have some chance to see whether Adam needs to stay on, he can go off, whether they move Appy to half or they bring Tristan on for that last kind of 15 minutes, depending on how the game's going. So I don't think they'll be taking Appy off early, but and I definitely wouldn't, because I don't want to see more Tristan Hope. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to see Appy playing in the halves either. So I know I had a just discussion with someone on Facebook and the West Tigers podcast group during the week about this. I don't like the idea of weakening one position to strengthen another. I don't think it works. I think Appy's a much better 9 than he is a 7.
Yeah.
I'm also curious with our number 21, Latu Fainu, sitting there. I just wonder. I'm he must be ready to play to fly him over to New Zealand and put him in a number, even on the extended reserves bench. He must be fit enough and ready to go to be named or to be in that position. And I'm assuming he's there as cover for AD. So I'm thinking if AD doesn't pull up too good after captain's run today, or maybe during the warm up tomorrow, that Latu will be ready to go. I also would like to think that Latu might slip into that 19. Or on the bench, that 6-man rotation in case we need backup in the halves. So I'd love to see him get a crack, especially this week without Romy.
yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, he could come in for Adam, I suppose, late if Adam is injured. We are playing the cup game over there beforehand, so I guess they'll kind of know coming into those last couple of hours, and he probably gets 40 minutes in cup if he isn't going to play first grade. So at least he's fit to come back, and we'll see him a chance to be selected over the next few weeks if he doesn't. But I would like to see going forward him above Tristan Hope on the bench. So yeah, good news on its way, hopefully.
I think Nick's right. I think there's something to him being named there, and if Dewey wasn't playing, I think that you'd be seeing Latu up the line a little bit, because they have said that he's been full on training and he's been pretty close. So it's probably not ideal. Maybe it's a situation of we'll hold you back another week if we can, but hamstrings are funny things as well. Like, and Adam Dewey looked gone last week. So,
Looked like you'd been shot in the back of the leg.
yeah. So that we'll wait and see with that. The rest of the bench though does make me pretty excited. Like Sione, who's just continues to get better and better. Royce Hunt, Seyfarth will come on. He'll do a job and he'll tidy up that middle defence. Bunty Afoa looks sure to make his debut this week. That's a fair bit of firepower on the bench, Nick. That's quite un-West Tigers like in recent times.
Yeah, this is what I like about this year. We've really improved that depth, especially amongst the forwards and the props. No doubt Benji giving Bunty a run this week has to be because he's up against his old club in New Zealand, and he's going to have a whole stack of family and friends out there as well watching him, hopefully wearing West Tigers colours, but that's going to be something to watch. So I'm excited. I hope Bunty gets some time. Surely Benji won't take him all over there all excited and sit him on the bench for 80 minutes, but we'll wait and see how it plays out. But there's a lot of big boppers there on the bench with a fair bit of impact too. So it's going to be a very interesting battle, that forward battle. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can stand up and match those big Warriors boys. This could be an 80-minute battle. I hope we can come out on top. It's going to be tough, but yeah, we'll give them a crack.
Well, I mean, nobody's giving us a chance. The bookies are, they're red hot favourites. Josh, sometimes the West Tigers are a little bit uptight, like we're afraid of losing. But I reckon the message from Benji this week just needs to be just, play your game, do your best, and just see what happens. Like it's a game that nobody expects us to win, so let your hair down a bit.
Yeah, the Tigers are much better when they're $4 outsiders than they are when they're
Yeah.
$1.50 favourites. So for us, that's probably a good thing to an extent. As you said, we also have a bunch of Kiwis in our squad, like
Mm.
Benji, who will want to go over there and do well. Bunty going back over there, Dural as well. I think this is a game the Tigers probably mark as a big game every year, and the Warriors are this is a real chance to prove ourselves. We are without Luai. Um, I'm also really interested on the bench if hopefully we don't get any injuries, but if Tino Tavana coming in at number 19, really
Yep.
interested to see if he gets on, some exciting moments there. So I think there's lots to play for, and I think it's as you said, a real opportunity without the pressure on for us to go out there and
Mm.
show that we're right up there with the top teams in the comp. Because I think the Warriors, fifth last year, and they would have been top four after well, they were top four until they lost Metcalf and Barnett. They're close to full strength. This is a real chance for us to take on one of the competition bigwigs who are in top form,
Mm.
and show what we've got. So excited for that to kind of see. It'll be probably the real test of where we are this season, I think,
Yeah.
Friday night's game. So, yeah.
Yeah. Litmus test,
Mm.
definitely. What's your thought, Nick, in terms of the final result?
Uh, I think last week I said that South would probably pip us. I think I said about 22-18, so I wasn't too far off. And then
Pretty
Josh
close.
was after me and gave a prediction that we were going to win, and I instantly flipped because I get swayed very, very easily. So you've asked me first again. My first impressions without hearing Josh, which is good. I'm going to say I'd love to think we can win. I'm not going to tip us. I think it's probably going to be something like Warriors like 22-18. Sorry, 28-18. I think there might be a little bit more space between the two. I hope I'm wrong, but I'll go with a 10-point victory to New Zealand.
About you, Josh?
Talk me out of it,
Um,
Josh.
I'm sticking to my Tigers' favoritism, but not by quite as many this week. I think we're going to keep them under 20 because I think our defense has been good so
Well, we
far,
have
and
to. Yeah.
that's our big thing. I think we're just going to get just to 20, and it's going to be 20 points to 16 to the Tigers in a close one. Bit of heart attack material as
Mm.
the Tigers like to do. Maybe I talked about Pole try, maybe a Royce Hunt try or a Bunty Afoa try off the
Mm.
bench to kind of finish it off and bring us home. So yeah, Tigers 20 to 16.
I'm going Golden Point, 19-18 to the West Tigers, Jock Madden.
Oh,
Field
nice.
goal.
Yeah,
Love
field goal.
it. Well, I won't love it on the day, but
No, no, yeah. It'll age you 5 years,
yes,
but yeah,
yes.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll wait and see. We don't have long to wait. 6 o'clock Friday night, Sydney time. We'll come back on Sunday, of course. All the one-word submissions, please, win, lose, or draw, on the West Tigers podcast forum. Just one other quick piece of news. It looks like the West Tigers have submitted an application to go to Las Vegas next year. So, what good thing, Nick? I mean, let's just not. We don't have to pull it apart too much. But isn't it good for the club to be on that stage? I wouldn't. I would. I was always at odds with Richo with that because I thought here's a chance to showcase our brand on a big stage. Why would you pass that up?
I think it's probably a bad case if we don't go, if I think of it the other way, because we'd be probably the only team that hasn't gone
Mm.
by
Mm.
that point. So I think we have to do it. Look, West Tigers is a big brand here. There's no reason why you can't get the Tigers publicity working over there. Although I'm not sure how many Americans actually watch it or pay much attention. To be honest, I think we might, or the NRL might blow out the popularity a little bit. I think most of the people that go to Allegiant Stadium the last few years or last couple of years have been
Because
Aussies, to be honest, or
Australian
Kiwis.
passports. Yeah.
Yeah, or this year, UK, or Europeans as well. So,
Yeah.
but no, I'd love us to go. I think it'd be great. My family, we are planning a Japan holiday in February, so I might have to cancel that and go to Vegas instead.
Okay.
Sorry, what, darling?
Yeah. Josh.
I think next year's the perfect year though, because
Mm.
Leichhardt Oval will be knocked down and
True.
rebuilt. So actually,
Yeah.
the club will need to find somewhere for other home games. So it's a great year to go to Vegas. We saw with the Panthers, they went when their stadium was first out of action. So I think either next year Leichhardt, and then I think the year after Campbelltown's out of action. So maybe we'll go to Vegas next year, and they've talked about other international games. So maybe Tokyo, Nick, for the year after. So solve the family problems.
I'll push the family holiday out another year. That's fine. That could work.
Yeah.
And if oil prices and things keep going the same way, then we might be like going via sailboat.
Not going anywhere.
On the A380. But anyway. Thank you, boys. Let's hope for a fantastic, memorable Friday night. And either way, we'll reconvene on Sunday night for episode number, what would that be? 451. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Joel.
Happy 450s, Joel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well done.
Thanks, boys.